Today I'm going to show you a restorative complication. We're seating number 10. See, number 10 seats down, and now we're going to try to seat number 11. And when you go and try to seat the canine, try to seat number 11, it's just not seating. For whatever reason, it's not seating, so I remove number 10 to make sure that there's no contact impingement, and I try to further seat number 11, but it's just not seating. So it means something is wrong, right? Something is wrong with this situation. Either the crown is over-contoured or the abutment is not placed properly. And so you can try a couple of things. You definitely want to, remove the adjacent one, see if it's a contact issue, see if it's like a contour on the crown that's inappropriate. But if that's not it, then the other thing that you want to check is your model. So it might be that something is wrong with your model, which means something was wrong with your impression. So I'm going to go back and put it on the model to see if it seats the same way. As I'm seating the crown, boom, it seats all the way. So on the model, this is seating all the way, but in my patient, it's not seating on all the way. That means my model is inaccurate. Something got rotated when I sent it to the lab. See, it's not seating all the way. So now I'm trying to see if there's any way that I can rotate this abutment clockwise or counterclockwise to see if I can get this crown to seat in. It's kind of like a last-ditch effort to see if it's going to seat all the way. So see, I'm just kind of moving it around. You can rotate it just a little bit clockwise or counterclockwise and see if that allows the crown to seat, or if you can adjust a little bit to seat it. So it's just not seating down the way that I want. Here I adjusted the crap out of it just to get it to seat, because I already determined that this one is a do-over. The impression was wrong, but I don't want to send the patient home with no tooth. So I'm actually just going to deliver this. I'm actually going to deliver this abutment, so that way my patient has something to go home with. I'm going to deliver this anodized abutment. I'm torquing it down right now because, there are a couple of different ways to manage this. You can just take a new impression and send the patient home without a tooth there. But oftentimes you'll find that you don't want to do that, and your patient doesn't want to do that either. So instead, what I'm doing, I'm torquing down the abutment, and I'm going to prep this abutment. So I'm just prepping that margin, that area in the margin right there. That was the only part that was really kind of an issue. Now this is a gold anodized abutment. Because we used zirconia as the crown, it's not like you're getting show through from the abutment anyway, so it's not going to be an issue. If I was using something that's translucent, then it would be an issue, but I'm not. So I'm just prepping this margin carefully. And you'll notice I did nick the gums a little bit, so I'm going to apply some hemostatic agent, because otherwise taking my impression will be a big pain in the butt. So I'm applying a hemostatic agent here, and that's just going to make it so I can take my impression. All right, so now I'm just putting some Teflon tape in here. You don't really need to, but it just makes for a cleaner impression. Otherwise, stuff can get stuck inside the access channel, although it usually comes out in one piece. So I'm packing that in there. And now I'm going to apply some Vaseline. I'm just double checking that everything fits really well. I'm going to use this crown basically as a template for my temporary. You could actually just cement this crown. I was planning on just cementing this crown, but then I adjusted it too much. Just temporarily cementing this crown, but I adjusted it too much, so now I have to make it temporary. So I'm just making a little template for my temporary here, just making a little matrix. But ideally I could have just adjusted this crown and delivered this crown as my temporary, but I over adjusted it. I just blew out the contact and it didn't look great. So I didn't want it looking bad over Thanksgiving break. So now I'm just taking my impression, applying some light body PVS, and I put a bunch of Vaseline in between all of his teeth, because he has recession basically like on all of his teeth. And he's got a couple teeth that are a little bit loose, so this would essentially pull out some of his teeth possibly. So I put my light body, putting my heavy body in now, and I'm taking my impression. Now remember, this is a way for the patient to not go home without a tooth. All right, so now I took my mold already, and this is my temporary on there. So I took my impression already. Now I put my temporary acrylic in there, and we're pulling this guy out. Boom. Now it's time to adjust this tooth. All right, that's my temporary tooth. I missed some of the margin when I was making the template for my temporary, so I had to just extend it a bit. So it is missing a bit of the margin. That's just on the temporary. On the final, I used my final impression, so it will turn out just fine. Now I'm just polishing this up so it looks decent. I'm gonna cement it on with temp bond, so that way it's easy to pull off. And that's it. So he gets to go home with this temporary tooth on, and I took an impression already for the lab. I'm sending that back to the lab. They're going to make a new crown. Usually they don't charge you for it. Making a new crown for that tooth right there, and then he gets to go home with 2 teeth as promised, and he's just coming back for a follow-up just to pop this guy off and put the final one on.